You're not that. You're whatever the fuck you want to be. All right? We're all having fun here together. All this tension and separation and war and division, and this country hates this country, and this religion hates this religion, and this gender hates this gender. That's all bullshit. That's all a construct. It doesn't have to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you become aware of that, it's not that there aren't bad actions and fucked up things going on. It's just you're aware of games within the game.
Speaking of games, like your higher self is you, and your ego or persona, which we'll get into in a second, is like your World of Warcraft character, right? Like,
yes.
You enjoy playing World of Warcraft because it's a fun little game.
It's your avatar.
But then you get those people who are like raging at the computer, smashing their controller because they're identifying with the game itself.
Too far into it. That's the thing.
Too far. So how many of us get too far into our own experience, right?
Oh, almost everybody. Because attachment leads to suffering.
And a lot of the time it's that attachment that we need to experience that suffering of attachment to be able to get distant from it.
We got to learn.
Dark Night of the Soul is where that happens, right? So
we got to learn. I can't
somehow.
fucking tell you that the stove is hot. You got to put your face on it sometimes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Oh, fucking Nixon was right. Welcome back to the Bridge Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Nixon.
Jonathan Matthew.
How the fuck are you feeling today, man?
Today is a nice day.
Every day's a beautiful day when you know the rules to the game.
Best part of your week so far?
Best part of my week is every moment because...
That's a cop-out.
It's not because I'm You mean the past week?
Yeah, this past week.
Is just recognizing...
Give me a highlight, then.
Recognizing and becoming aware of how easy the manifestation is when you really want something. And that's when it's like, when they say, be careful what you wish for, and you're like, ha ha ha.
Oh, and then you get it.
You're like, pump the brakes.
Then you get what you asked for.
You always get what you ask for if you believe it and you feel it. And then recognizing that is cool as shit. Because it's like all the movies and all the songs, it's like, oh, it's all true. The symbols were hidden all around us the whole time.
When you get what you didn't ask for, what part of you was asking for that unconsciously or subconsciously? Or...
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, don't think negative thoughts. But you've already said don't, and you've already said negative. So the universe has already heard that, right? Yeah. So don't think of a pink elephant. All you do is pink elephant. That's all your subconscious heard was pink elephant. Yep. And popped you a picture of it.
Yeah, the verb, or it doesn't matter. It's just whatever the manifest is, right?
Exactly.
Which we'll get into that.
So wording, so that gets us into what we're talking about. Wording and language. Words are just noises that you make with your mouth that are symbols that mean different things. Okay, so that's why we're doing this definition series, because this is part 4 of definitions. It ain't how they say it is. So this is the shit they don't teach you in school, or words that get bastardized, words with barnacles on them, that the word love is like this big, beautiful blue whale, but it's got all these fucking barnacles on the bottom because it's so old, you can't even tell that it's beautiful and that it's love.
It's massive.
And it's massive. And we got to unpack
the ocean.
it. We got to scrub the barnacles off.
People are killing it.
But you don't want to do that. It's important.
It's a fucking ancient wise being right
there. So it ain't how they say it is. We're going to define it the way that it's most useful for the common person. So once again, we're bridging ancient wisdom with modern science. And this is how you fucking live in the matrix and play the games within the game, but still be aware of higher consciousness type of stuff. All right, so today we're breaking down self, higher and lower self, capital S, lowercase s, self. Magic, yes, magic is real, and we're going to differentiate between magic with a C, magic with a K, as far as like illusions and sleight of hand versus miracles and actual magic. Yes, that's real, but it's a sketchy subject, so we're going to break it down. That's why we're breaking it down. Duality, so masculine and feminine energies. And then God, the G word.
Ooh, what's a big one?
It's a scary one because it means something different to everyone else. But at the end of the day, I always say every scientist, every spiritual guru, every religion is all saying the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They've split everything up to cause division for the powers that be to divide and conquer. But we're not getting into that because we're into unity and bringing everybody together. And you can still have your different religions and cultures and all these different things when you understand that at the end of the day we're all one and we're all in this together.
Yeah, it means more when you understand we're all one.
It means so much
you can
more.
appreciate it. right? Because you're not caught up in the separation.
Us and them type of bullshit.
Exactly.
It's only us. Once you know, you, me, we. Once you know the game, that's it.
Me, we.
Everything you see is just a mirror projection of you, because as above, so below, as within, so without. So that's everything on Earth.
Yeah.
Everything in the universe, everything on Earth, and everything in the body. You got, the temple of man and the Egyptian pyramids and stuff like that is set up exactly like the human body.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything inside. The eyeball looks like a universe. The DNA helix.
The shape of an atom, or an atom, right, is, talk about a galaxy, talk about the universe. The universe they're conceptualizing is mostly probably a sphere shape that's expanding outwards from a center point, right? Or that center point's expanding with that. So yeah, like you're made of atoms, I'm made of atoms. Look at that.
That's the thing. When you get into like science class, you're like, oh, it's just atoms talking about atoms.
Literally everything, just atoms rearranged in different ways.
Bumping into each other.
That's all it is.
We're just bumping into each other out here. So, starting with self, capital S, self. When you're talking about yourself with a capital S, like from Jungian terms, essentially, talking about my man Carl Jung, you're talking about your soul, okay? So your capital S self is your higher self. That's your soul, who you really are, your connection to source. That is, you are light beings from source that have incarnated in this human body, okay, for this human experience. You are a spiritual light being having a human experience, and that's great. And you're here to learn lessons and, fulfill your karmic destiny on your soul's journey.
Yeah,
okay, whatever that means.
Really,
to you.
just here to experience, right?
To experience things, to feel feelings and learn lessons.
Yeah, when we make things more complicated than it has to be, that's when we get caught up, right? That's when we get caught into my mentor of mine, Dr. Lemmy. We had a real conversation, and he was mentioning how he thinks it's funny, and I do too, about like people saying the word trying, because like trying doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean shit.
But he said that trying, really all that really means is just like creating tension for the sake of it, right?
And you're giving yourself a buffer if you fuck it up.
Yeah, and like what does like trying to do something look like? The doing something is it, right? But the trying is just like I'm trying. Like there's just unnecessary tension to it. So.
Once again, Yoda,
right? There's no try. You only do, right?
You just do shit. Shit. When you're trying, I really think that's like when people say like, "Oh, watch me fuck this up." It's like, no. Then you're manifesting fucking it up. But what your ego just did was give you a buffer and soften the edges of self-deprecating humor in case you fucked it up.
In case, so now I won't feel as bad. Right?
And you won't feel as bad. But you've just made up a fictional scenario that lowered your odds of actually completing the task.
And why do you feel bad in the first place? Only if you attach yourself to the action of failure.
So fuck that. So make up a scenario of positivity.
Yeah. And you also brought up the word light being, which I like, but which also
needs to be broken
can
down.
Be squirrely to people. But let's break it down in terms of science, right? Like,
yes.
What allows our entire planet to exist? The sun, right?
Yeah.
Our proximity to the sun, right?
It's our energy source.
What do we get energy from? Whether you eat meat or plants, both those things get their energy from plants, or they are plants. Plants get their energy from the sun.
Chlorophyll.
So you get literal sun energy through your skin, but also through your food, which food makes up the cells in your body. So
you are what you eat, and you are everything.
You literally are light energy in that sense, right?
Literally. That is energy. Okay.
If you're thinking like, oh, what's the light being? I'm not like bursting sun rays. Well, I'm like, well,
if you
could,
but right, but you're holding yourself back because school and TV and politics told you can only be in these certain boxes, and you only have 5 senses, and you got to stay in line and color within the lines, and you're a Indian person from America, and you're a male, and your occupation, right? See what I'm saying? It's already fucking squirrely, right? The words already got fucked. No, you're not that. You're whatever the fuck you want to be. All right, we're all having fun here together. All this tension and separation and war and division, and this country hates this country, and this religion hates this religion, and this gender hates this gender. That's all bullshit. That's all a construct. It doesn't have to happen. Yeah. Okay. So when you become aware of that, it's not that there aren't bad actions and fucked up things going on. It's just you're aware of games within the game.
Speaking of games, like your higher self is you, and your ego or persona, which we'll get into in a second, is like your World of Warcraft character, right? Like,
yes.
You enjoy playing World of Warcraft because it's a fun little game.
It's your avatar.
But then you get those people who are like raging at the computer, smashing their controller because they're identifying with the game itself.
Too far into it. That's the thing.
Too far. So how many of us get too far into our own experience, right?
Oh, almost everybody, because
At some point.
attachment leads to suffering.
And a lot of the time, it's that attachment that we need to experience that suffering of attachment to be able to get distant from it.
We got to learn.
Dark night of the soul is where that happens, right? So
We got to learn. I can't
somehow.
fucking tell you that the stove is hot. You gotta put your face on it sometimes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Oh, fucking Nixon was
there it
right.
is.
There it is. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. You have to experience things. So capital S self is your soul and it's your higher self. And it's kind of hard to think about. But that is your connection to everything and why we're here, right? But your lowercase s self, little s self, is your ego. That's your persona. That's the mask that you wear, the character and role that you're playing. Okay? Acting. That is what who you think you are. Okay, and like you said, that is your avatar, your character that you're playing. You can fucking change genders. You can get different tattoos, different jobs. You can do different things. You can build muscle. You can lose fat. You can fucking do anything you want with this.
You can build fat and lose muscle.
This is your sure. You do whatever you want. This is, and there's more optimal ways to play the game as far as health and
Just in terms of the experience, right?
terms of the experience, because that's all this is a human experience to learn lessons and find your authentic true self. That is the name of the game. So now that you know the rules to the game, because in school they tell you the rules to the game is at this time you do this and you stay in line and you do your homework and then you go to college and you get a job and you pay taxes and you watch TV and you die.
Well, in school they really reinforce the persona more than anything, because it's that persona that you're going to go out into the world with this persona. So you better be really concrete in what do you want to be when you grow up, right? That's create your character right now. This is character creation
in the beginning, right? And then they make you think you're stuck with that character.
Yeah.
And then people that don't like their character get anxiety, depression, shame, because they think if they need to change their character, their family or society is going to disown them or shame them or something like that. And shame and betrayal and abandonment are the archetypal traumas that we're all dealing with. And
shame is the big
one, and
big
shame
bad.
is the big matzo ball at the bottom of all of it. So when you stop giving a fuck about other people's opinions of you are none of your business. That's their deal. They did what they did. They think what they think, and that's fine. And that's fine with them.
Go watch the Fear, Ignorance, Truth, Love episode, because it's just ignorance, right? And that's
and that's fine.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It just is what it is.
They have an absence of knowledge of your true self, and you can't change them or fix them. But what you can do is look within and find your true, authentic self.
Yeah, the person you will always know the most is yourself, right?
That's the only person.
We know each other pretty well, but I'll never really know what it's like to be you, and you'll never know what it's like to be me. But we can share our experiences, and we can open up to each other, and then energetically we can share that space. But it's your purpose to know you, and it's my purpose to know me. And the more we do that for ourselves, the more we can share with each other, right?
That's it, and everybody else. And that's, once again, Carl Jung with the mask. It's like you have this mask that you put on for society, at school, at work. And you go into the other cubicle and you're like, hi, how are you?
You got your
How was
phone
your
laugh,
weekend?
you got your in-person laugh, you got your interview
your
laugh, you
phone
got your
voice.
buddy's laugh, you got your mom laugh.
How you change when you talk to an old lady versus like a hot chick. You're like,
Or like you see the bully from high school like 30 years ago, and you're like, oh, you go back to old you, little kid you, right? That's a scary
inner
one.
child is going to be a whole
child one's a
nother
scary
deal.
one, right?
That's something happened to me when I was 8. I'm fucking, now every time somebody yells and slams a door, I get fucking, dude.
Triggers, man. Trigger warning.
Been there. But here's the thing. The triggers are the gift, because that's literally showing you where the work is to be done. That's showing you where you are out of alignment and where you can work on things and where you can get better.
And the first key to seeing the trigger is awareness.
Self-awareness.
As per usual.
Self-awareness. Know thyself. All right? So here's the thing. With the lowercase self, that's your ego. You don't want to ignore the ego or be unaware of it, like a lot of people just bumbling around the matrix and letting the TV think for them, getting programmed, getting conditioned by their parents and society and TV and media and universities and stuff like that. So 100% living in your ego and not knowing that you're more than that fucks you up. All right. But you also, I hear people kill the ego and fuck your
that's
ego.
usually people when they first kind of get into this
Understanding it.
First awareness
It's
of
bad.
their higher self. They're like, this thing was keeping me down. It's like, no.
Not exactly. You were letting it run the ship and it was fucking you up a little bit.
Exactly.
But you don't kill it, nor do you ignore it. You don't push and pull too much. The ego is like a puppy. You want to train him.
Yeah.
Because then he can be your best friend.
Because if you ever had an untrained puppy,
They're going to pee on the carpet. They're going to chew shit.
carpet, chew shit, do whatever they want.
But they're doing puppy things. So if you beat them and yell at them, it's not as good as loving them and teaching them and learning from them.
And then, if we're imagining the puppy as an ego, if we do that to that ego, and we see dogs when they get older and they're mean or evil or vicious dogs. That's just an ego that was mistreated and misunderstood, right?
Can I do a side bridge real quick? Last
bridge.
week at the dog park, I healed another dog, and so there's so many dogs running around. This is magic, I guess you would say, or energy healing. Like my Reiki homies and shit like this are gonna understand this. So I healed the dog at the dog park last weekend. Dog comes in. There's a whole bunch of dogs. A whole bunch of dogs. Heal boy. Whole bunch of dogs running around at the park. And this one comes in, tail tucked under, ears down, shivering. People try to pet him, and he's dodging the people. Dogs try to play with him. He's whimpering. He's stuck. And the owner's just la la la, not a bad person, but obviously there's some trauma with the dog. And the dog's not having a great time or whatever. So all these other dogs are running around because they're like, oh, he doesn't want to be fucked with. That's fine. So I crouch down, get on their level. I breathe in. I center myself. I try to get on their vibration. So then he makes his way over to me. And right away, the owner's like, oh, my God, he never lets anybody pet him. I'm like, slow down, chief. I got this.
Do you know who I am?
So I give him the side. You know, when you're facing him, he thinks you're attacking. When you turn his back, he thinks you're a predator and you're running. Yeah. So I give him a little side, like a little neutral posture. Yeah. He comes to me in between. And as I'm breathing, I kind of open up my heart to him, and I put my hand on his heart. And then he turns around and nuzzles, like in between my like crotch and chest. Yeah. And then I got him crouched down by the heart. And I open up my heart, and I'm breathing through my nose. And I'm like whispering it out loud, but he doesn't speak English, so it doesn't matter. But what matters is my intent and my manifestation is you're safe. Yeah. I keep telling him, you're safe, buddy. You're safe. You're safe. And then you ever see like when a gazelle gets away from a lion or something like that, and they shake the energy off, and then they keep going. So he does like this shake, and he kicks his energy out, and then fucking tail starts wagging, ears perk up, and he fucking runs away. And the owner was like, what the fuck did you just do? This is amazing. And then he's running around playing with other dogs and shit like that. But here's the fucked up thing. This is why I'm telling the story, is I pulled in his energy. Uh-oh. So I fucking start crying. I fucking pulled his trauma out into me, dude. And I fucking started crying at the park. And the guy's like, oh, what the hell happened or whatever. I'm like, oh, he was fine. He just had some childhood trauma. And I pulled him out. Yeah. I didn't tell him that I fucking did a magic trick on the dog. I said, listen, I got on his level and I told him that he's safe. Because anytime, this is why I went there, because you were talking about the inner child. Yes. The inner child acts up as an adult because at one point it didn't feel like it was safe.
That's it.
That's what trauma is. The ego felt like it was going to die. And when you're a child, you don't have too much separation between higher self and lower self. Yeah. Children are magical beings because you're closer to source. You're closer to birth.
To the birth, yeah.
Right. So you kind of get stuck in those moments because it felt like it was going to die, and it didn't have a difference between ego and higher self.
Yeah, and trauma experiences, a lot of times you'll see people getting hyper disassociated from the experience. Like if people remember trauma, they remember from a third person perspective because they want out of that experience so much, so they never really resolved the experience itself,
dude,
right?
I never even heard it said like that because, dude, anytime I picture like horrible shit that happened to me, I'm always watching it.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm always the child there like, oh! Yeah, and you're like watching the movie.
Yeah, like serious trauma stuff, you suck out because it's almost like you black out. Like a lot of trauma, for one, is like unconscious or like really
gets repressed into the subconscious, trauma, right? For sure.
Or suppressed, but repressed mostly, right? Sure. It's just not there because you weren't even there for that experience because you had it was a survival mechanism that you pulled out, right? Which was what you needed at the time to survive that experience, but it's now you have a kind of like a blind spot in your experience, and it's that blind spot where you are bump into things and things are hitting you in that blind spot and they're triggering that trauma again. So it's kind of re-emerging, kind of dipping the foot back into that water that was really cold at first because that's what sparked the trauma, and then immersing yourself in that, and that's where the work is. And that's where coaches, therapists, doing internal work, all the stuff we're talking about here is on that path to self-healing, right?
So speaking about internal work, that's like what we're all trying to do, right? So if you're doing zero work on yourself and blaming others, you're going to have a bad time. Because our whole thing here is taking personal responsibility for your health and happiness and finding your authentic self and living your purpose and your passion, learning the lessons, having fun, giving back, and helping people when you can, right? So you've heard of you've heard of the 80-20 rule.
Principle,
we're applying this to working on yourself. Yep. Self-help, self-development, personal development, and growth. 80-20. 80% of the time, because if you're 100% of the time, like I said, in the Matrix, and you're just going to the mall and buying shit and worshiping celebrities, you're getting consumed with, Princeton University and Yale are here, and Rutgers is down here, and Stanford's over
Isn't
here.
that a great paradox? The consumer ends up becoming consumed by what
Yes,
they
that's why
consume.
it's called that. Right.
It's a black hole. Right?
White people are here, black people are here, Asian people are over here, and there's all these like hierarchies and all this nonsense, and like, oh, I need more shoes, and I need
Stuff,
more add to cart and
things,
stuff and material
dollar
things.
signs, numbers.
All the sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the world, the material items are not going to replace peace and fulfillment and experiencing your true self and your purpose and your authenticity and unconditional love for self, okay, for yourself and for others, all right? So the 80-20 rule, like I said, if you're 100% in the matrix, you're just getting consumed and programmed, and people are thinking for you.
But
and
on
you're
the other
fucked,
side, right?
and you're being manipulated. But if you go 100% working in, then you're just a monk in a cave. And you're not, and not that that's bad. Either one is kind of not bad, but you don't get to do the human things and have the human experience if you're just a monk with no sex, no...
Yeah, because now you're so aligned to just an extreme of one of the two, right?
Yeah, it's an
There's zero
extreme.
balance.
So the same 80-20 rule that you would do with like a clean diet and a cheat meal type of situation, we're saying with inner work versus playing the games in the matrix and material things. So if 80% of the time I'm working on myself and 20% of the time I'm drinking beer and watching football, I'm not consumed with the commercials, and I'm not going to fucking jump off a bridge if my team loses because I'm not attached to it. But I am enjoying the competition and the thrill of it and the games within the games. And when I watch sports, I'm really more inspired by the hard work, and I like the personal stories of the guys.
Yeah, like
I don't get caught up in the logos and the
team
commercials and the vibe, whatever,
Yeah,
Gillette.
yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, oh, M&T Bank Stadium. Like, oh, I need to buy a...
or the zealousness of a team.
Nah.
Like
Rivalries.
people fighting in the stands. Well, look, Boston's better than New York. New York's better than Boston. Like, and then Tom Brady and Eli are like broing it out on the field. It's like, guys,
I was born on this patch of dirt. Fuck your patch of dirt.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, guys.
You see this imaginary line here?
Slow
Huh?
down.
You see it?
So then, so once again, like 80-20 rule, 80% of the time you're working on yourself. You're living above the matrix. You're living in 5D. You're aware that you're a spiritual being having a human experience. You're trying to find true self. You're trying to get better mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And 20% of the time, you fucking buy something fun. You wear something nice. You watch a movie. We've watched all the Marvel movies.
Yeah, a lot.
Disney is a fucking evil company. I've watched all the Disney movies and enjoy the songs, and I see the lessons, and I see the stories and the morals, and I like the songs, and I like fucking Captain America and the Hulk and Thor.
Yeah.
As mysticism and myth and parable and story and action and the funny lines.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
storytelling.
not consumed by it. It's just storytelling and entertainment. I'm not consumed by it, nor do I worship celebrities or any of that shit. But at the same time, I'm not like gonna fucking delete all my
Marvel's
fucking
stupid. No,
Marvel
it's-
stupid,
movies are
hip
fucking
hop
awesome,
is
man.
stupid, whatever,
Like, it's-
because they're doing this and they're doing that. Who cares what the fuck they're doing? If it resonates with you, enjoy it, but enjoy it with awareness.
And you, like I said before, you'll enjoy it more when you can detach from it more,
do
right?
enjoy
And that's
it.
like, think about like any kind of relationships you have, like hyper clingy relationships.
Whew.
Is that really enjoying it, or is that out of fear?
Well, that's the
right?
same thing. If you're 100% trying to please the other person and fix them and do what they want, but you're not taking care of your shit, then you're out of balance right there.
Yep.
We've all seen that. And then say you go on vacation or you're just chilling for a little bit, you flip that 80-20. And you fucking have a little bit more alcohol, you sleep in a little bit, you work a little bit less, you exercise a little bit less, you meditate a little bit less, whatever. You still have that 20% so you don't completely fall off the deep end into fucking...
Because you've done the 80 before, right?
Because you've done the 80 before. Then when you come back to your regular routine and scheduled programming, you're 80% looking inside, working on yourself. Okay? So, capital S self is your higher self or your soul. Lowercase self is your ego or your persona and your role
puppy.
you're playing. So your higher self is who you really are at the end of the day, at the end of this human experience. And your ego is your puppy that you play with, that you train him to be your best friend and your hunting buddy, and the character that you're playing in this game, in this time and space.
And they're both necessary. You can't kill your ego.
You can't ignore him because then he's going to run the show, and you can't kill him because that's just not an option because then he's going to laugh at you. It doesn't work that way. So how do you do these things? Real quick, when we'll do a meditation episode, but the answer is meditation. Quieting your thoughts, detaching from your thoughts. So you say, okay, I am not my thoughts. I am not my body. I have thoughts. They're coming from a collective consciousness that they're just tapping into from source. And you let them come and go. And you watch your breath. And you say, oh, that's interesting. That's a thought. You don't attach onto it and you don't push it away.
Yeah, like when, and you'll notice this with a lot of like highly successful people or geniuses, quote unquote, like Elon Musk tweet, like they got, remember that tweet? It was like you just became like the richest person in the
Yes.
in the planet. He's like, oh, that's interesting.
He goes, that's interesting. Back to work.
It's like, oh, like that's, oh, my character got 100 gold
Exactly.
in World of Warcraft.
And once again, there's Elon dick riders that love him, and then there's Elon haters because he's a billionaire. We're not saying any of that. We're saying somebody, Forbes, tweeted that he was the richest man on earth, and he retweeted, interesting, I'm going back to work. Because he understands that his higher purpose is not caught up in ones and zeros in the fucking
and the
computer.
money that we're all of us are caught up in, right?
Which
Not
is just
all of us, but
another
a lot of us.
construct of made up ones and zeros, and you can fucking go to DuckDuckGo and look up the Federal Reserve and
Because
all that
for
bullshit.
one, imagine now he attaches to his billionaire status and he loses all his money. All of a sudden, he's nothing now,
Next
right?
thing you know, he's Bill Gates. Oh. I see what you're saying. If he goes down to zero.
Yeah, if it goes to zero, well, now I've just attached to my meaning and my worth to the money.
No, you're screwed.
Now you're screwed because now you're hinging. That's what happens to a lot of young celebrities, right, or young musicians. They get projected. This is who you are. This is who you are. This is who you are. And they're like, I am this. I am this. I am this. And then all of a sudden you're not. And then what are you?
And then you feel lost and you feel incomplete.
And then the
not
same
whole.
people that projected, oh, you're amazing, are the people that are shaming you in the tabloids and stuff like that.
So that reminds me of Ricky Williams. He said,
Ricky
I'm a
Williams.
spiritual being. I'm retiring from the game of football in my prime. And they called him a pothead and a hippie yogi. He's a bullshitter. And they shamed him. And he goes, I love football, but I'm more than that. And I want to do this for now, and I can come back to football or whatever.
Yeah.
Football is what I love. But I am not a football player. I'm more than that. That's just my character for a temporary period of time. And it reminds me of like mothers. They like get attached to being a mother, and then
Emptiness syndrome.
yeah, and then the kids leave and go to college, and you feel empty, and like you're a loser, and you get old, and you're like whatever. No, you're still beautiful, and you're so much more than that. And your
Now you're
self
just something
worth.
different. Now you're evolving.
Yeah,
That's evolution.
and you're still a mother.
You'll always be a mother. You never
You're
stop
always
being
gonna be a
once your
mother.
mom once, yeah.
But now you're something else too. Because what you really are is your higher self, and you're never going to lose that purpose. You're only going to feel bad if there's resistance and attachment to things that come and go.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with your thoughts. If you have all these negative what is it? 68,000 thoughts a day or something like that, and over 90% of them are negative. But that's only if you feed the negative thoughts and hold on to them and attach them.
Clouds, man.
They're clouds. Clouds come and go. And sometimes it's cloudy and it's dark for a long time. And you think, oh, God, everything is black, everything is cloudy. But eventually the wind blows a little bit, and you see a little bit of blue peeking through. And you go, oh, shit.
Think about a metaphor you hear. What is that wind?
That's your breath.
That's breath.
That's your breath. And then next thing you know, you breathe enough, and you see the blue, and you're like, oh, I am the blue sky. I am everything. The clouds were thoughts just coming and going. I'm more than that. I'm everything. I'm just like we're passing through this human experience. All right. So ton to work on there. And then with the self, you have the shadow self. Okay. So you don't want to also, as much as I'm positivity and everything is positive, it's because I've looked into the shadow and done the dark inner work and recognized that, because once again, as bright as the light can be is as deep as the shadow work that you've done. And we'll get to that, and we'll do another episode on consciousness and shadow, because they're deep too. But point being is, when you have the self, which is your ego, you have the shadow self, which is all the darkness in there. So if, once again, unconscious and subconscious darkness. But once again, if you repress it and push it down, it's going to come back to haunt you.
What we talk about in Newton's law of spirituality.
Yes.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Pushing down causes things to push back up.
That's what we're talking about. So 80-20, work on yourself, love yourself, know yourself.
Big self, little self.
That's it.
Big true, little true.
And we'll figure it out. All right. So magic. Here we go. Magic tricks.
Magic legs.
I got my magic legs, Lieutenant Dan. Titanium alloy from the space shuttle. Fucking magic, okay? Pulling a rabbit out of a hat, card tricks, sleight of hand. That's cool. I don't think that's stupid at all. I think that's fucking awesome.
I dig it.
Okay? But that is a show, and it's something that they practice a skill over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's super cool, the same way that shooting free throws or ping pong or playing the violin is cool, because they practice it 50 million times, and they're a stage performer, and it's entertainment. But we're talking about magic, M-A-G-I-K, like magi, okay? So we're talking about the wise man, the wizard, the alchemist, supernatural stuff. Literally, we're talking about your miracles here, folks.
Miracles?
More than 5 senses, okay? What you can touch, smell, see, and hear is less than 1/millionth of reality.
What?
Yeah, you got X-rays. You can't see Wi-Fi, but it's a real fucking thing.
It's happening.
X-rays, gamma rays, sound waves, all these things, right? So we're talking about intuition empathy, manifestation, anything that's a miracle in the Bible that they can't explain, there's always unexplainable phenomena and synchronicities and coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. You manifested synchronicities within the game. Okay? Hippie woo-woo nonsense. No, that's quantum theory. This is quantum physics. You have particles and waves in the field, and the universe is a boomerang. Whatever you put out comes back. So you think and positive thoughts and do positive actions, and positive shit comes back to you. How do you know? Sure, you can look up the work of Greg Braden, fucking Neville, Joe Dispenza, like I can go on and on and on, Abraham Hicks.
Yep.
Of these people that understand the quantum field and enough about spirituality that they can explain to you that whatever you get, you get. You know, the love you take is equal to the love you make. You know what I'm saying? The Beatles told you this shit. So when I say manifestation and extra sensory perception and clairvoyance, clairaudience, when you see visions and hear things and stuff like that. Dream state is a whole other thing. We're just talking about quantum theory and quantum physics. You have particles and waves, and they don't line up exactly. I'm not going to pretend like I'm on quantum physics here. We're giving you the basic 101 shit. But the point is, when you observe them with the scientific method, each different observer, it changes the particles and the waves. So you can't put it in the standard scientific method. So whether it's when it's not being observed, it's one way, and if you don't change any variables, but you change the observer, it changes to another thing.
Yep.
So they're there and not there at the same time, and they're here and there in a different place at the same time. Exactly. That scrambles your fucking brain. But these are the words that we're talking about. Magic, God, the universe, consciousness. There's unexplainable phenomena. That's why religions call them miracles and shit. Oh, he turned water into wine and he had one fish and he fed all the poor people. It's like he made do with what they had. You know what I'm saying?
And there's deeper messages.
There's
into that
way
stories,
deeper messages, but it's like he fucking had a part. Instead of complaining that we didn't have enough wine, he made a party out of what we fucking had. You know what I'm saying? They find a way. You know, Moses parted the Red Sea. We found a way to get there. Okay. So many miracles.
Yeah, I mean, there's like all the near-death experiences stories where people.
That's magical shit.
That comes back.
Due to hard science, they were flatlined for X amount of minutes, 45 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
Dead, legally dead, flatlined, no pulse, no oxygen. And they're in some type of astral realm or purgatory type of situation that they can see their body from a third-person perspective, and then due to like the fucking shock paddles or whatever and CPR, they're brought back to life and put their soul and spirit back in their body. Happens all the time. It's called a near-death experience. Look it up. It's crazy. Okay, you can get that same type of ego death on psychedelics or entheogens or any
just
type
even
of
during meditations,
dream states,
Kundalini.
meditations. I was gonna say breathing practices.
Yep,
so much
it's
shit.
all the same.
So we're talking about supernatural, which means above natural and beyond nature.
The natural order of
so there's the
things.
physical order that you can do with the scientific method, which is great, and that's real, and that's always answering different questions.
We're all very much attached to because it feels.
You like to be able to measure and feel stuff.
Yeah, really, what we think we know about the universe is just what we can measure about it, right?
But that's not the whole picture.
Yes.
What you can touch, smell, see, hear, and weigh and measure is a good portion of the universe, and then there's so much you can't explain. Black holes, white holes, empty space,
dark matter,
dark energy.
What the rest of your DNA does.
Holy shit, there's so much going on. Did you see the Greg Braden video going around where he's talking about the code in the DNA?
Yes.
Holy shit. That's magic to
wild.
me. Magik. Not pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Phenomena we can't explain. Supernatural shit. Like when people have intuition and visions. Oh, they're a witch. Burn him at the stake. Jesus is bullshit. He didn't do all these. Miracles are real. Manifestation is real. Whatever you think and believe and say after the words I am or I want or I do will come true. That is literally what manifestation is. Okay?
From a place of authenticity, because if it comes from a place of fear, I don't really think it really gets out there.
You have to really believe it with love.
That's why you can't just say
and
anything.
Gratitude.
Happens, right?
So here's the thing: Jesus said, "Pray as if it has already happened." And once again, Neville, Joe Dispenza, whomever, talking about you have to be grateful, like you already have it, and feel it first, so the universe knows what you want.
That's what, like the Rumi quote, what you're looking for is looking for you. It's only looking for you if you already know you have it, right? Like like if it's meant to be with you, you're going to have to accept that you're going to have it, right? And that's a scary thing. That's why people resist it. That's why
it's not scary to me, but that's why people feel they're not enough and they're not worthy, and then they don't get what they want.
Yeah, those are the feelings that resist you, that prevent you from being open to it.
That's the resistance.
That's why manifestation seems like it doesn't work for a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, I've tried it. Well, where are you trying it from? What space are you trying it from?
Okay, right. It has to be from love and gratitude.
Yeah, it has to be from a place of like, there's enough.
Belief.
There is enough, and I am enough to receive it. So it has to be a place of worthiness, right?
Yes, worthy. We always talk about this.
You can't pull the sword of the stone if you think
you're not. No,
it happens simultaneously.
Well, that's
the moment you're worthy is the moment you pull it out.
3 myths I was thinking of: the sword and the stone.
Yeah.
It had to be who was worthy. Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. Okay, so it's the same thing. Thor was worthy, but Thor also knew Captain America was worthy because he was pure.
Yeah.
And he was worthy, and he knew he was worthy. It wasn't because he was fucking stronger. The Iron Man suit was stronger. He couldn't pick the fucking thing up. Yeah. So the only way to pick up the hammer is to be worthy. And what was the other thing I was thinking? Fuck. The third one was like the best one.
No, we'll come back to you.
So if you're worthy, you will receive whatever you're grateful for. All right. So that's Magik. All right. And we'll circle back. Duality. This is our next one. Duality. The yin and the yang. Oof. Okay.
Duality. Do is two, right?
Exactly.
Two realities. Duality, right? So we get two components of your reality, right? There's at any given time an equal and opposite. Physics tells you that, right? So there's your yin and your yang. If you're familiar with the yin-yang symbol, it's often called like the peace symbol, or that the swirl, the dot in the middle of it. If you don't know it, it's pretty common. But the yin and the yang energy are two separate things, but the most important thing about that image is that they both exist within one another.
Yes.
Right?
Can't have one without the other. They have to be in balance and harmony.
Yeah, so at any given time, duality, there are equal and opposing forces, right? There's your masculine, there's your feminine energy, and that's... Before we go even further, we'll just get through the mud of language. And masculine and feminine energy doesn't refer to sex or gender or sexual orientation. Those are all very different things. Those are all very much...
And some of it's science and some of it's constructs. And bullshit society. So when we're talking yin and yang and masculine and feminine, we're talking dark, night, light, cold, hot, cold, sun, light, moon. Dark, sun and moon. Christianity, they had Christ consciousness. So you had Jesus Christ, which is all that is good and perfect and holy. But then you had Lucifer, which is the dark energy, which is the devil. So the devil isn't a red guy that fucking lives under the earth with a fucking pitchfork and fire, burns you to damnation. It's anything that is evil to you, anything that's eating you up. Same thing, Christ consciousness is pure to source. So same thing, male, female, dark, light. The ancient Egyptians had Ra and Set.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking the sun and the moon. Everybody understood that there's duality and balance. Once again.
Yeah, the most important thing is that there's the balance between the two, right?
So we're not talking about sex and chromosomes and wieners and vaginas. We're not talking about male and female gender. We're not talking about sexual orientation as far as gay, straight, bi, poly, whatever the fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you want. That's not what we're saying. We're talking about a balance of energy. Yeah. Okay.
Energy is the key word here, like the essence of the energy. So we talk about like masculine and feminine energy, and the divine feminine is something that's really becoming more aware to people right now what that really means. And if you look at yoga, this has been in yogic philosophy, in Buddhism philosophy, they all stem from the same thing. The divine masculine, divine feminine. Divine masculine is seen as Shiva, right? And then divine feminine is seen as Shakti. Right, so Shiva is the masculine energy, and that's what masculine energy really is just pure awareness, pure consciousness, right? It's just oneness and unity, right? And then the Shakti, divine feminine, is the manifest, right? So we think of the creative life force, so Shakti, the creative and destructive life force, you think Mother Nature, right? When we refer to Mother Nature, we think of everything that's alive, living, that you can see, touch, smell, all of our senses that exist. When we think of God as the man version, right, like in Christianity and a lot of other, like in Judaism and stuff like that, you think religions. Of a man who's a light being in a cloud, right? And all those two things are just the masculine and the feminine energy. One's not more important than the other. What's really important is understanding how they unite together.
Yes.
Right? It's not dominance of one over the other. Because
it's balance and union of both. If I have a fucking plug... and I have an outlet, separate, they're fine. But together,
but
they do nothing separately. That union creates that source, that energy. You plug in the light bulb, the light comes on.
Right. There you go.
Because that's that energy and source and creation of energy and the energy exchange.
And that's a great metaphor too, right? So it's the kind of the masculine energy inhabits the feminine energy. So like if you imagine water is an example, which is a really good example. You think of the essence of water. What is the essence of water? It's H2O. It's the makeup of it. Water is just the essence. The waterness is water. That's your masculine energy, right? A river, an ocean, a stream, rain, steam. That's the manifest form. A wave or a droplet. That's the feminine energy. That's the form it takes on. Right? The feminine is the energetic flow. We think of Kundalini, if you've heard of Kundalini awakening, Kundalini yoga. Kundalini is the serpent energy at the base of the spine that, when awakened and aware of, coils up through the chakras.
From the sacrum,
all the way up
the chakras,
to the crown chakra to meet Shiva, right? That's what's happening. It's that feminine energy is meeting the masculine energy. And that's when the awakening is happening. It's not just feminine energy. It's not just masculine energy, because they mean nothing without each other.
And that's where the magic happens. They don't teach you that shit in fucking school. Like, they ever teach you fucking Wim Hof breathing in school, where you can fucking hyperoxygenate your blood and pump the sacrum and the tailbone to light up all the chakras and pump that cerebral spinal fluid up to the pineal gland and out through the fucking crown chakra and flood your system with endogenous DMT and just have a oneness and Kundalini experience.
Like second graders all over the place sitting in a classroom.
Well, the world would be a lot better. I'll tell you what. So to go back to manifestation real quick, I remember my other example. When Neo wakes up from the Matrix, okay, because the Matrix, Bruce Lipton, who's a neurologist, said the movie The Matrix is not a movie, it's a documentary. What you think is real. Okay, whatever you think and you believe is real. That's how media can control people. Politics can control people through media, because they brainwash you by saying the same thing over and over again, and you believe that it's real. But reality is so much more than that. So in the beginning, Neo wakes up from the Matrix and he has to jump from the one rooftop to the other.
That's right.
But the Matrix is fake. It's whatever you believe. And they're all like, you think he's going to make it? You think he's going to make it?
He's the one.
He's the one. He's going to make it. And everybody goes,
no
one makes it on the first try.
Yeah.
So he does. And you see Keanu Reeves second guesses himself a little bit, and as soon as you second guess yourself, you don't make it. But if you believe you're the one, and that you believe in your manifestation and you feel it, then he can make the jump.
I'll make another example here. The Dark Knight Returns, right? If you've ever seen that one of the best.
Only 75
one of the best
times.
Superhero trilogies. Marvel's awesome, but that trilogy is so epic to me. But in the third movie, he's in that cave, right? And whoever knows where. And the only way to get to the top is you got to make that jump.
Yes.
He's Batman. He's freaking Batman. But he tries to make the jump, and he fails every single time, right? And it's only when he really believes, and that it's so cliche to believe in yourself, but there's a level between believing that you are going to do something and I wonder if I'm going to do something.
No,
right?
no.
And the moment
Fuck
he does,
hope.
he makes it, right?
Fuck wonder. Fuck second guessing yourself. Believe in yourself. Okay? So Neo goes to see the Oracle, and he says, "Am I the one?" And she goes, "Are you?" And he goes, "Oh, no, I guess not." And she doesn't say anything. So you think he's not. But she wanted him to say it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to believe it, dog. I can't fucking tell you. And then he sees the boy. And the boy bends the spoon with his mind. And he tries to bend the spoon, and fucking he can't. And he goes, there is no spoon.
When you realize you are the spoon, you're not bending the spoon, you're just bending yourself.
Boom. And then you can do it. Whatever you believe. There is no spoon. There is no constructs that they tell you in school and on TV. All
People
that's
are
bullshit.
out there right now with their spoons just trying
we've seen people do that, but it's like you really have to believe and know how to bend energy and stuff like that. So that's the thing. If you believe, you can do it. Whatever you believe and whatever you say comes true. All right? So duality, once again, some people get caught in duality, and that's another dance of like duality versus non-duality and living in oneness and complete unity with everything.
Yeah, well, it's like all, if I flip a coin, heads or tails, right? Just that question in itself, you're like, oh, I got to pick a side, right? That's just the inherent in the question, inherent in the idea of a coin, is that there is two sides.
You don't have a coin.
But when do we notice that there's not two sides is when we can pull out and zoom out. It's also the coin's the same thing.
It's one thing.
It's the same thing, right?
You think there's two sides.
They're part of two sides of the same coin.
Woof.
And I think Steve Jobs said that when after he had, because he went to India, had his own spiritual experiences, studied yoga, philosophy, smart guy.
He was popping LSD and he made the iPod.
Yeah, that's a big deal. But even he said, when you realize the world, when you see things as two sides of the same coin, it changes your perception of reality forever.
Because everything that was ever invented or created started as a thought. Airplane, a car, it was an idea, it was a thought first, and somebody believed that they could manifest it, and then becomes the physical engineering. Then you get the architect, the engineer, the construction guy.
But something doesn't exist if the idea of it doesn't exist.
The idea,
and the intention,
and then the belief, and then the intention, and then you get the blueprints and the engineering and the physical labor.
Yeah.
Idea first, belief, gratitude.
Yeah.
Then put in the work.
And then, like, just to back into duality real quick, where we see, like, now a lot in the internet, it's like the divine feminine is kind of like coming back into power, right? The divine masculine has been really down. Like I said, there's not dominance over the other, but powers that be have been
out of balance.
Have been manipulated,
yes,
and unconsciously or consciously, both. And that masculine energy has, and when we talk about duality, also polarity, right? The positive and the negative. When we go too far to one extreme, we start to get really imbalanced, right? We start to see the negatives of that, right? When we're just purely one thing, or when we're out of balance. So that's happened with the divine masculine, and it's not that the divine feminine is going to come over and take over everything. That would just
we're
be
just going into balance. We've all seen that
And
happen.
the pendulum is going to continue to swing. That's just the nature of reality, right? But bringing into balance the divine feminine, that energy is really, going back to manifestation, is really just openness, right? Openness to receive, right? When you think of like a good listener, or that nurturing mother energy, you think someone that holds space for you. That term that people use, like holding space. That's the woman. That's the womb, right? That's holds the space. That's the plug or the outlet, right?
The
that
container.
Holds the space. That's the container for awareness, right? So if you think of what is behind your eyes, what is observing your experience, that's your awareness, right? But what is containing it? The manifest form, like everything that's manifest, the energy. Yep. This is all just energy, right? The contained awareness.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, so if whatever God is there anything behind God or above God? No. So, okay, once again, man was made in God's image. That's why your eyes are in the front, pretty much every creature, and then like a fucking flounder. Your eyes are in the front, right? So you see outward. So you think you're looking out into the world, but that's just your ego experiencing God, looking outwards into everything. So that's why when you realize the real shit is looking in, then you can enjoy the outer stuff a lot more, like you said.
And then in terms of like, okay, well, now we know there's duality, right? Well, how do we balance that? Like, how do we come? For one, it's first, again, always, we're going to keep repeating because it's super important, awareness. Awareness of, if you are imbalanced, awareness of the duality in of itself, where that manifests in, there's two political parties, wink and a nudge. Look at that. What do you know? That create division. What do you know?
Two wings on the same bird.
Yeah. Two coins, two types of energies. Again, meditation and becoming aware of that is the first step. Even if you're taking up a yoga practice too, especially like Kundalini yoga, there's a lot of breath practices that really balance the body energetically, right? And becoming aware of the parts of you that are maybe have that hyperlogical, hyperstructured masculine energy, and the types of you that may be creative, but maybe hyper emotional, maybe too flowing, too free blowing to the feminine energy, and coming to that middle point, unifying those two, right? Because think about it like an amazing, purely creative, purely feminine energy artist can make some amazing stuff, but they often have the hardest time like selling their stuff or creating a business out of their stuff. And you have to, that's the masculine energy, that structure, that formula. To make that too is what makes someone be able to be successful in the world, or be able to give their art to the world.
Yep. And then just to pull that back to like hard modern science, you're talking about the two hemispheres of the brain. Ooh. The left hemisphere is more linear logic, math, engineering, stuff that there's concrete answers for that you can figure out with logic. The right is more magic, more creativity, more emotion and intuition.
Yep.
Balance. You need both, because we've all been out of balance and seen people that are so right brain, like you said, that their emotions are running wild and they're spewing on everybody else and they're having no logical solutions for anything. And then we've seen people that are so linear in logic, they're like fucking rigid and stubborn, and they're like, pull yourself up.
One is like a bag blown in the wind, the other one is like a tree that's about to break in a storm, right?
And that's the thing. And we're talking flexible, not flimsy.
Structured, not stiff. Yeah.
Boom. And that's how you move, and that's how you dance. with the universe. There's no tango without the other partner. There's no
Takes
dance.
two to tango.
It takes two to fucking tango here, guys. And once again, it doesn't matter if it's two dudes, two chicks.
Think about the hands in prayer position, right? Boom, boom, boom.
No.
Yo, a little active practice for you. Nadi's showing us a breath practice, the alternate nostril breathing. That's said to balance the hemispheres of the brain. Whether that does or not, what it does energetically is pretty powerful if you've ever done it and practiced it. So that's inhaling through one nostril. You can look up the hand position because I'm not going to go too deep in that, but inhaling through the right nostril while closing off the left, closing the right, then exhaling out the left, inhaling through the left, and then exhaling out the right, and repeating that practice back and forth.
It works. Give it a try. We'll put some links out because there's some good breath work out there that people are really missing out on, because once again, they don't teach you that in school. Oh, once again, the video that was viral like a week or two ago was like a 6-year-old black, maybe he was like 5-year-old little kid. And
teaching his younger brother,
3-year-old brother, starts having an anxiety attack, and he starts shaking. And so his brother recognizes. He goes, breathe deeper, breathe in slower, woo-sa, and breathe out. And and he fucking stops his little brother from having a fucking panic attack and an anxiety attack and a temper tantrum. And he connected him to the breath.
That's going back to the duality, the divine and feminine. That's that prana, the energy, the life force, right? The chi we talked about a couple episodes ago, right? Duality. Two sides to every coin.
Two sides, but what is the coin? God and everything. So here's the
oneness.
Big oneness. So here's
Unity
the big
of the
matzo
two.
ball. Okay. So when people say God, we are talking about source, the universe. We're talking about everything. We're talking about oneness. Voltaire said, God is a circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. So let's run that back for a minute. The center is everywhere, so that's everything, and the circumference is nowhere, so that's everything is everything.
Everything's connected.
And everything is connected. And that is what we mean by God. So different religions have created separation, not only through duality and through polarity, but politics has hijacked all Judeo-Christian and modern religions
100%.
As far as to create
in America, and then you think
wars and separations
Middle Eastern
everywhere.
or in like Islamic countries.
It's even worse somewhere.
Islam's gotten hijacked. Judaism has got hijacked. It's all been hijacked.
It's all been hijacked. So here's the thing. God is not, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but God is not a white guy in the clouds watching you jerk off, sending you to hell, giving you presents on Christmas. It's not like that.
Wait, what?
I'm shattering belief systems here.
On air. Man, belief of Santa Claus gets shattered.
Well, you can believe, wait till we tell them Santa Claus is a shaman and it's just bringing you mushrooms.
There you go.
On the winter solstice. We'll get to that, but that's going to really, there's levels to this shit. One step at a time.
What if, just popped in my head, you know how like Santa gives you coal if you're bad? What if he gives you, like, what is right? Maybe that's the lesson right there. You give the bad person coal, and the bad person's like, oh, I've been bad. Right? You are the coal, but what happens when you put pressure on a coal? It turns into a diamond.
So he's like, there's something in there. It's still a gift. Yeah. You just got to work for it.
Bad.
You got to work on your shit.
Bad. Yeah,
Right. Work on your shit. And you got a diamond.
Put some pressure on yourself. Put yourself in situations. And you'll see what happens.
That's the thing. Because when a human being, when an orange goes under pressure, orange juice comes out. And when a human comes under pressure, you're going to see what the fuck comes out. And then you're going to see what you're made of. You know what I'm saying? So when we say God, I'm really not even talking about capital G. You know, there's not the God, one God, or in the Bible, the Lord God.
So going back to the word, this is just the word.
Just words.
That's gotten really caught up. And so you're already maybe feeling triggered by the word, or maybe you already have an idea in your head by the name of God, which
and
is
that's fine. It doesn't mean that you're right and doesn't mean that I'm right. It means that if you're feeling a certain way and you're triggered, that's where your work is, to either ask me a question, research something, or teach me something that I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the problem with politics hijacking religion is they have this hierarchy of the priest and the bishop and the pope, and like your only connection to source and God is when you come and you bring your 10% to the church on Sunday, and we'll give you a little snippet of God, and but you have to pay us. And if you're a good boy and a good girl and you follow all our rules, we get to be rich and powerful now.
Yeah.
But if you're a good boy or girl and you follow all the rules, you get to go to the afterlife. You get to go
God
to heaven.
told me that he doesn't want you guys to know stuff because it's a lot to handle, so you're going to have to just really
come
pay
through
attention
me.
to me. Because I'm
right? And then it's the same thing. I mean, the Jewish people are the chosen people, and the Muslims are going to get 72 virgins. And if they, come on, guys.
And Christians are going to go sit at a pool party with Jesus, high-fiving each other.
And next thing you know, you're just creating war. When you have holy war,
come on now.
you've already done fucked
What's
up.
holy about war?
Nothing. This is the opposite of holy.
There you go.
It is literally the opposite. And when you say, fear God. No. You already done fucked
We're
up.
going to talk about fear. Fear comes from ignorance,
Fear.
right?
So God is love. Unconditional love. And fear comes from ignorance. And fear is the opposite or the balance antithesis of love.
Yeah.
So fear God is already an oxymoron.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. What they mean when they say fear God is respect and honor God.
Respect.
Which is everything, respecting yourself and everything else.
Yeah, because it's powerful. When you understand how powerful it is, and the people who've had those come to God moments or those awakening moments.
That's what it is.
It usually is a recognition of how much powerful that what is beyond you is, and that which inside you is.
That's
right?
what it is. It's what you can't explain and what is beyond you in everything.
And there's a reason why in all these religious cultures, whether that be or even spiritual cultures, because spirituality and religion are not necessarily one together. But they can be related.
Sure.
Right? But like in Christianity, in Islam, right, the prayer position is usually on your knees, right? It's in a position of vulnerability, which we just talked about. Goes from ignorance, and the bridge from ignorance to truth is vulnerability.
Yep.
Out of truth comes love, right? So it's that vulnerability, that respect of, I am on my knees because I recognize how much more powerful you are than I am, but I'm willing to expose myself because I understand how much love that you are. Right?
That's it. I love it.
That's powerful stuff.
It's super powerful, and that's the thing. So once again, all the material items in the world and separation is not the same as, it's never going to fulfill you the same way that being your true self and finding your purpose and your authenticity and unconditionally loving yourself and everything. That's what we're getting to.
And connecting that
Everything.
masculine, feminine energy, that oneness, the unity, right? Unity consciousness is consciousness united, right?
That's huge, and we can get more into that as far as the divine feminine and holding space for that. That is the, like you said, the container, the womb that everything is.
It's creative energy.
It really is. So if you feel like you're so masculine that you're not creative, that's where you're lacking.
Well, why do you think in ancient history the muse is often referred to as like a woman, right?
Of course, always.
The muse is a woman. It's that divine feminine.
Of course.
It's the creative energy that inspires you.
Of course.
Right?
So in
breathe.
this age or eon, the past couple thousand years, where there's been so many wars and such masculine energy that's out of balance.
Dick swinging contests.
It's a goddamn dick swinging contest of women suppressed and different races and bombs and guns and wars and profit. But thousands and thousands of years ago, maybe even tens of thousands of years ago, ancient Egypt, the real ancient Egypt, not the bullshit they teach you in school, the woman was the divine leader and had the bigger headdress. And in every statue, the woman had the arm around the man. She was in charge. The man was the protector, the warrior, the builder.
Look at a beehive, right? The queen is the queen.
In nature,
queen bee is
it's
queen
always
bee.
the queen.
Everybody else is just doing everything
Worker
they can to
bees.
serve the queen, right?
And that's the thing. You ever seen a bee make honey? No, you haven't, because they all have to work together.
Teamwork.
And you serve the queen and you work with everyone.
And that's a
For
really
their
good
purpose.
microcosm of a positive collective, because bees are if
Super
you don't
necessary.
know about bees, go look up about bees.
If you
That's
think
all
you're
I have to say
liberal
about bees.
and you think you're conservative and you disagree with everything because you're
Everybody
polarized,
needs the bees.
the bees in the trees are
Bees
what's
in the
keeping us
trees
all alive.
right? So,
Literally.
but that's a great microcosm into like a miniature collective consciousness, right?
Yes.
Their greater good is to serve their hive, their queen, their structure, their components, right?
But as above, so below. So that helps us, which helps the planet, which helps the universe.
Everything's connected, Sean. I think that's what
Everything is goddamn connected. So I love myself and I work on myself because that's the best thing I can do for the universe. How are you doing? Working on yourself?
Oh, yeah. 80-20, baby.
80-20.
80-20.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. We'll be back next week. Peace.